Good evening. I'm glad to be here with all of you tonight. I'm John Tedesco from Wake County Schools. I know most of you who've seen me on TV say, that guy looks a little taller on TV, right? But I am glad to be here with all of you. The cartel is highlighting, as you heard, some of the challenges in public education. While it takes points from New Jersey's public education, we have serious challenges here in North Carolina. Right now, we have a state that ranks towards the bottom in public education and towards the top in incarceration. We have a state that's pumping $11 billion into our schools here in North Carolina, and yet we have barely over 50% graduation rate for some of our most vulnerable kids in this state. In North Carolina, for some of these kids, we're basically committing academic genocide. And we have a state right now that's challenging education every step of the way. You go into DPI, where the Department of Public Instruction is, and this past year up in Wake County, they tried to change our U.S. history. I don't know if some of you saw that this last year. And we took a little bit of a fight to them. They wanted to change U.S. history. Sorry, I speak even louder. Can you hear me in the back? All the way in the back? Okay. So we're talking about DPI trying to change our history curriculum a little bit for our kids, and this is really important because what they wanted to do was begin history in North Carolina schools right around the time of World War II, because they believed they needed the additional time in the curriculum to begin to teach our children more about global history and global awareness. I know, people don't understand, because what we have to understand is the importance of teaching our kids what the original Tea Parties meant, what it was about, so that we can have people today who will stand up and challenge their government. So we can have people today. These school systems, they don't want to educate a next generation to challenge the bureaucracies. So they're going to do whatever they can to stop it. A lot of people said to me, because I grew up in and out of free and reduced lunch and low-income housing as a kid, and we bounced around a lot of poor places. I grew up in the Pittsburgh area working in steel mills and dedicated my life to helping at-risk children. Spent the last 5 years down here building North Carolina's Mentoring Children of Prisoners program, when I learned that the North Carolina Department of Corrections bases their projections for prison beds on third grade data. They look at third graders and they know a percentage of them are already condemned for prisons here in North Carolina. And it's a system that hasn't stopped, it hasn't changed. And our public education has funneled a school-to-prison pipeline. And a lot of my friends, because I've worked in these programs to help at-risk kids, they've come to me and they said, John, you're so passionate about education, you're so passionate about children, why aren't you a Democrat? The liberals in this state and in this country believe public education to be the holy grail of liberalism, all right? So any Republican trying to challenge that, you will see what you see in Wake County. For the first time in 30 years, with my election, we've secured a majority Republican board of the largest school system in the state, a $1.5 billion operation with 163 schools and 18,000 employees. And now that we have Republicans in charge, you see it played out every day. People see me all the time, Fox News, CNN, going against the Reverend Barber and other people. Why? Because these liberals are losing their mind that we're actually doing what we said we were going to do. We're sticking to our word, we're sticking to our beliefs, we're sticking to our commitments that we have to educate children, support families, build communities up. There's a real opportunity here, but we can't let it stop now. A lot of people said to me, hey, maybe the Tea Party issues kind of spiked a little bit. And the people who elected you, and they joke around, everywhere I travel around the state, they want to call me Tea Party Tedesco. That's what they were calling me on CNN. And they think it's for some reason they act like I'm afraid of that and like it's a bad name. I'm okay with it because I know I stand for something. I believe every one of you in this room tonight also stands for something. That's why you're here. Do not let those people out there who tell you your efforts have peaked be right. I tell them it has only just begun. We are starting another revolution in this country. It is starting with people here in the streets, in the hearts and minds of America, who are going to raise up and take our country back where it belongs. And I don't care if they think a certain issue is their issue, like public education, because it's an American issue. the more and more we fail to educate our children, the more and more we lose who we are as a nation. We are losing a generation of people who forgot what it was like to be American. A generation of children who are not being educated what it's like to stand for one nation under God. A generation of children who are forgetting what it's like to want to praise and support the American flag. There are schools all around the state who are failing to do this. Just simple things like saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Some of us now take for granted. There are children that are not getting those opportunities in our schools. We have 1.5 million children in education in North Carolina. On the Wake County School Board, being the largest board in the state, people sort of follow our lead sometimes, and there was a lot of shock last year. After I was elected, we voted as part of our legislative agenda to the state to lift the cap on charter schools. All right? And a lot of people said, well, how could a public school system support such a thing? You know why? I support it because I do believe in public education, and I believe in having more choice and more options will hold these schools accountable. All right? At some point, we have to hold our school system and our government accountable. As I travel around the state, I'm learning that brevity tends to get me invited back. What I would say is this. On Saturday, you're going to have the opportunity to see this movie, The Cartel. It's going to talk to you about the challenges in public education, not only from the point of view of the charter schools initiative and parental choice, but also from the wasted dollars spent in bureaucracy and from some of our teachers' unions and the challenges they propose. And that's a little bit hard for some of us because on one hand, we have our teachers who are a national treasure, and on the other hand, we have these teachers' unions or associations which are standing in the way of real reform. So it's somewhat of a disconnect. But it is possible to believe in our teachers and support our teachers without believing in these unions that are stopping us from making real reform that's going to help educate children and get them out of failing schools. So this movie is going to share a lot of that with you. I would encourage you to come out and learn more. I tell people all the time, get involved at your local level. I know all of us want to complain regularly. I do too, about the issues that are going on with the national health care debate and the president's quasi-foreign domestic issues and policies. I don't even know if he really has a foreign policy agenda anymore when I see what's going on with how he's handling Libya. But we all can care about those issues, but you have to care about what's happening in your community. You have to care about what's happening in your neighborhood. Look at your local school boards. Look at your local county commissioners. Get involved and don't stop, no matter what you do. A lot of people said when the pressure came on me that we were gonna buckle and we were gonna bend and we were gonna drink the Kool-Aid. They said, oh, they're gonna drink the Kool-Aid and they're gonna change like every other politician. And the chaos erupted because, you know what? Because I don't drink Kool-Aid, I drink tea, all right? Make sure in your community, in your county, in your school boards, in your commissioners, in your local elected officials, you elect people and you hold them accountable to people who support your values. And that's the only way we'll take this country back. Thank you very much.